In this episode of Fictional Hangover, we talk about genericization, having so much rage, getting worm arm, pointing out the blame, and all the whomp whomps in our discussion of The Stranded by Sarah Daniels. Womp womp. Hey everybody, welcome to Fictional Hangover, a podcast about young adult and new adult, and sometimes other books, series, authors, voice actors, and illustrators that is full of spoilers. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire. And today we're going to discuss The Stranded by Sarah Daniels.
Standard disclaimer. If you haven't read this book, please remember that Fictional Hangover is all about spoilers. If you haven't read or listened and don't want to be spoiled, stop listening to us and go read or listen to the book. Then come back. If you haven't done this but want to pretend that you have, or if you don't care about spoilers, or if you just like the show so much that you don't care about any of that, then listen up. Yay! Whee!
A lot happens in this one.
A lot happens in this book. Oh my gosh. And we've both had it for years, I feel like.
I mean, you pluralised that. That's really not true.
I feel like we've had it for at least a decade.
And then some, at least.
Yeah, I know that it hasn't been out for that long, but we did both have arcs of it.
Yes. Mine's signed.
Mine's not, because actually I got mine through the library, and it looks a little bit different to yours.
It does. We've got two different colours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's signed. It's a bookplate signature, but that's still cool.
Yeah. Honestly, I like my cover better than yours.
Yeah.
Look at that rusty old shit.
It reminds me very much of the Cursed Cruise cover, that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
I've got. I mean, you'll see on the episode picture as well. I've got postcards of characters as well.
I love it when we get fun stuff like that. But when Sarah was kind enough to send copies, I said, actually, I already have one, so you don't have to send me one. And she was like, what? You already have one? And I said, yeah. And then we talked about the cover being a little bit different on mine, and I'm like, I'm very special. I feel very
we know that.
important.
You are.
Yeah.
You are. I remember seeing it in the wild, in the bookshop, at the university. When
is this
on a training session?
Is this initial thoughts, by the way? Are we doing?
Probably, yeah. We're jumping ahead a little bit.
Yeah,
but yeah,
okay.
I remember saying we'd only just got it, and we'd only just thought about doing the theme. And we're going to need a bigger boat, and I saw it out in the wild in the bookshop. And I was on my lunch break from a training session at the university, and I was like, I've got that. Yeah, we're covering it. I'm sure we're covering it. Yeah. Anywho, going to rewind. Background information.
I've got a couple of bits of background information, and one is something that I took from Goodreads. What was one of your biggest influences for The Stranded? Sarah was asked. And her response is, ooh, tricky question. There are so many. I think The Handmaid's Tale was the book that really set me on the dystopian near future path from the start. I read it as a teenager, and I found it terrifying to think about how any of us can have our lives derailed by external forces. You don't have to be the chosen one or a secret wizard to get tangled up in world-changing events.
True.
And she goes on to say, my style, in terms of plot, was really influenced by the last line of Catching Fire in the Hunger Games trilogy. It's the only time I can remember actually shouting, no, at a book. At the time, I was a relatively new writer, but I knew I wanted to create that kind of suspenseful story. And the last line of Catching Fire is Katniss. There is no District 12, which I recall myself going, no!
I don't know if that's meant no, or if I went,
We do like a fanciful gasp, don't we?
Oh, very dramatic.
So that's one bit.
You should see Storytime in the House when there's a gasp in the book.
Ooh, I bet it's good.
Oh, it's very dramatic.
So
what's the other bit?
The other bit of background information was me asking you a question.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Because you used a word just in regular, everyday chat with me that I had only read just recently in this book. And I did not know what the word meant. I had never seen the word before, but obviously context clues. I am smart enough to figure out what this word is. But you said it in real life conversation, and I was like, did you say that? Because it was just in this book, because what the hell? But anyway, the word is, how do you say it?
Tannoy.
Tannoy. The word is tannoy, which in layman's terms, in US speak, that's like a loudspeaker. But I figured it out. Context clues. Super easy to understand. But then I went, after discovering this word, I went on a little bit of a research trek.
Yes.
And I discovered that Tannoy is a British manufacturing company. So, like, it's like saying Kleenex or Velcro or Band-Aid. It's one of those generalization things.
Hoover for vacuum, and
yes.
There's a word for this. Because I used it in my dissertation for audiobooks. One of the brands of audiobooks, books on tape, or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's actually a company name, but it's used as a product.
Yeah. So there is a word for that. And
I'm trying to remember what it is.
I know, me too, but now I can't, because there's more. There's more background information for this. So I was on this whole like rabbit hole, and there's a video that I watched on YouTube.
Oh wow, this is a rabbit hole.
I know, it was such a rabbit hole. There is a video about the people that own the word Velcro, and it's like a whole song about them saying, please don't fucking say Velcro. It's such a good video, and they have motions, and it's really good. So I think we need to post the link to this Don't Say Velcro video.
What are you supposed to say instead of Velcro?
It's hook and loop closure or something like that. But the song will teach you everything you need to know about hook and loop. But don't say Velcro. So anyway, that's what happened. What are you looking at? What are you doing?
I'm reading my dissertation because I've got the word in my dissertation.
We can Google it, Claire.
I can't remember how to word it correctly.
It's
proprietary eponym.
Ah, yes.
Because the sentence is, at a time there were multiple phrases synonymous with audiobooks such as talking book or spoken word, some being proprietary eponyms like recorded books or books on tape. It's literally the first paragraph of my introduction.
It is also referred to as genericide.
Oh.
Because you're making something that is not generic into a generic word.
Oh. Post-its is another one.
Genericization.
That sounds like a moida.
I know. Genericization.
Genericization. What's up?
Or is it a hard C? Genericization.
Generic.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Claire.
No, it doesn't.
It does not matter. So anyway, that's the background information, and we've already had our initial thoughts. So shall we just dive into the summary?
Yes,
Shall we set sail? What all did you say last time?
I can't remember. I feel fresh now. It was set sail.
I I'm pretty sure we said dive in.
Yeah. All aboard.
Yes. So many boat words.
Let's just, sail onto the horizon.
Yes. Okay.
I my puns were all used up, and now I'm pun empty.
Right. Well, it's because this is our third sailing book. We're running out. We're running out of ideas here. Anyway,
we're drowning.
We're drowning. We are drowning. We're in over our heads.
Not in ideas.
No. We need a lifeboat. This summary is going to be a little bit longer than some of our more recent ones because the book is quite a bit longer than the books that we've been covering lately. So,
and a lot happens.
Yeah, a lot happens. So much happens. Oh my gosh! And there's multiple points of view, and it's beautiful. But put on your buckle up. Can I say buckle up?
Batten down the hatches.
Batten down the hatches.
Grab a plate from the midnight buffet.
I don't think there's a midnight buffet in this book.
Well,
this is not a.
There might not be a midnight buffet in this book, but depending on what time we finish recording, there might be at my house.
There might be. Okay, let's set sail. Esther is at the Lookout Cafe on the ship Arcadia, enjoying some recycled coffee, staring at the city across the ocean. Hopefully, she and her sister May will be there soon, studying at the university. Esther's got exams coming up, and all she wants to do is get off this ship. She's learned more than doctors about infectious disease, so surely she'll pass and be able to go to land. As she leaves, getting a message on her comm glove from her mother, to which she responds with a lie that she's with her boyfriend Alex, someone from the deck above drops printed propaganda, which is illegal to have, read, or even be seen next to. This really sets the stage. The paper says there are hundreds dead on the ship Oceana. Then the Coleys, the ship's patrol, come and everyone scrambles to leave. Esther could help a fallen girl, but she chooses not to. You have to put your own life jacket on first. Everybody knows that. Such a stage setter. Yes. You think, oh, she's just enjoying a coffee on deck. Nope. Horrorland.
It's one of my favourite things about it, actually.
I know, me too.
Nick is at the railing where he dropped the leaflets when his friend May shows up. They see two Coleys coming toward them and know they'll have to escape. As the Coleys get close, they run to the stairwell and down several flights to the service floor. This is where the Neaths are, but it used to be where all the ship's workers were, doing things out of sight of ticket holders. Now there are people everywhere with shops and carts and all sorts of stuff. Nick and May run to the elevator shaft. May grabs the cable and slides down, but Nick is shot at by the Coleys. As he grabs the cable, he turns and is face to helmeted face with them. Dum dum dum.
Esther has made her way up to deck 13 and is working her way home, trying to avoid the Coleys, when she gets a call from Alex. He asks about her whereabouts and reveals that his mother has acquired paperwork for them to get married. So they can be stationed together and be sent to work at the same hospital after graduation. They are only 16.
Yuck.
Esther feels uncomfortable about this, but she can't think about it too much because she realizes a drone is following her.
Hadley is manning the drone from the stairwell that Esther is about to enter. He shouldn't have the drone out right now and be away from his post, but he's the security commander and he's got to get down to the Neaths so he can get some medication or maybe drugs. He's been on the Arcadia for 1,836 days. And he desperately wants off the ship, and he desperately doesn't want to be spotted by anyone. He sneaks up half a flight of stairs, and if she comes up, he's going to have to arrest her, but luckily she goes down instead. Hadley makes his way down to the disgusting interiors of the ship to a grizzled man who sells him drugs that make him forget. But what? We don't know yet. Unfortunately, the man has only given him half his regular supply, and no amount of threats will make that change.
Oof. Esther goes back to her family's cabin on deck 7. Oh, I really enjoyed this chapter. 40 years ago, this cabin was her grandparents' honeymoon suite. But shortly after boarding, a war broke out, and biological weapons carrying a virus killed millions of people in a week. Those lucky enough to be aboard cruise ships survived. Now, Esther wants more than anything to be off the ship and on land, studying to be a medic while her sister May becomes a cadet. May has just gotten home and asks her sister how to help someone who was shot or stabbed. Not for any specific reason, you understand? Just to know.
Asking for a friend?
Uh-huh, sure. Yeah.
Make-believe friend?
Esther is distracted, and May realizes that she was at the lookout earlier when the leaflets were dropped. Esther tries to lie about it and then leaves the cabin, where she runs off, trips over something, and is kidnapped.
Womp womp.
I feel like this book is full of womp womps.
Oh, completely.
God, I love it.
Full. Esther has been taken to tend to who is presumably Nick, who has been shot in the chest. She's stressed, obviously, because kidnapped, but also because of the amount of blood all over the place and the fact that it looks like this guy is going to die at any moment. She calms herself and gets to work. Nick comes to, kind of, thinking May is helping him, but that's not May, and, oh no, his chest hurts, and he's drowning. Oh no, no! Not May is hurting him, and he's going to die. They're all going to die on this ship. Well, that's not good.
Womp womp. Hadley's desperate to get off the ship. He knows this one will be docking soon, in 6 months, maybe 10, and then it will be destroyed, just like all the other ships. The Federated States will quarantine all the passengers in a prison camp, of course,
nice.
Instead of letting them live freely like they all think. Hadley looks through the mug shots of those captured from the leaflet drop and learns that a couple of coolies might have shot one that got away with a poisoned bullet.
Ooh.
He wants to stop anyone, anywhere in the ship that might be able to help the kid who got shot. He also wants to make an example of a young girl who was caught, and starts by breaking her fingers.
Ooh. Womp womp. Esther manages to remove the bullet from Nick, still not knowing exactly who he is, but she's not safe yet. The surgery may be complete, but he's still poisoned from the bullet and will still die soon unless these captors let Esther go. She's smart enough not to tell them how to help unless they take her out of the Neaths, where there are people around. Nick kind of wakes up and says Esther's name before blacking out again. One of the kidnappers takes Esther out of the Neaths, and along the way she trips, faceplants, and breaks a tooth.
Oof.
Alex sees her being held by a stranger and comes over, posturing. The kidnapper quietly tells Esther that things are going to be bad for her and her family if she doesn't help. So she tells him what he'll need to save Nick. Anti-venom. Esther lies about being kidnapped, and she and Alex go off for breakfast.
Hadley has a meeting with the ship's captain, and it's not pretty. Hadley is clearly twisted and threatens the captain, wanting to make it illegal to read in public.
Asshole.
Hoping to stop the leaflet drops.
Sorry.
Yeah, really. I'm sorry. What? What was that?
I just got a horrible cough there.
Yeah. Oh. Hadley demands the captain find out who is responsible and mentions an old family by the name of Lull. He did something to the father before and threatens his son, who is at least 16 now. The captain tells Hadley to get out, and he does, but not before forcing the captain to accept a surveillance bot and then threatening his life.
Aww.
The next day, there's an announcement that it is now illegal to read in public. Hadley is clearly in control of the ship and is most definitely a monster.
That's putting it mildly. Nick is in his room arguing with his mother. She's chastising him for the leaflet drop, but he's upset with her for dragging May's little sister in to doctor him. If something happens to her, May might leave the rebellion, and everything depends on her. There's a whole lot going on that we, the readers, don't really know about, but May is involved, and so are secret codes, so she must be very important. Nick tries to sneak out to leave her a message to meet up later, but she catches him and helps him back to his cabin because he definitely shouldn't be up and around having, just been shot. They talk about just running away and having a farm somewhere completely landlocked, but they both know that'll never work.
Esther is held back after class the next day for a mandatory medical exam. She's just learned that her next test will count for 65% of her grade. Ooh. But then Alex sends her a note about a surprise, and she gets a demerit for it. Esther, Alex, and another girl in class, Kara, are the top 3 students and are so close to getting off the ship and going to a university to become doctors, so she can't mess up. Helping the enemies of the Federated States by treating a strange boy with a gunshot wound who somehow knows her name is just the thing to ruin her plans. And now her corporal, known only as Corp, can tell something's up.
Ooh. Nick is working on the engine when he's approached by the captain, who is also the leader of the rebels. Nick knows he's going to get reprimanded for the leaflet drop, and he is, but later. First, the captain shows Nick the damaged bot that Hadley set on him. Captain can keep Hadley distracted for a little bit longer, hopefully long enough for the rebellion to be ready. Nick's dad, presumably the guy from Hadley's threats, was the one getting the engine working again, and now it's left to Nick. He and May are very important, but also very impatient for things to change.
Alex's surprise for Esther begins with showing her he has a lifeboat of rations saved on deck 10. Then he takes Esther down to the Neaths, where they encounter coolies that luckily let them pass without trouble. In the Neaths, Alex takes Esther to a dentist who offers to replace her broken tooth with a pre-loved one or a synthetic one.
Yeah, that's fine.
The synthetic one is much more expensive, but, didn't come from someone else's mouth?
Yeah.
Esther thinks she'll just keep her broken tooth because of the price, but Alex says he'll pay for a synthetic one because they're in this together. Time to yank out a tooth and shove in another.
Nick and May are in a corridor near where he got shot, keeping watch at the daily supply delivery that happens every single day at 4. They've been watching the drop for a while, but the time is coming where May is going to have to sneak aboard the vessel that brings the deliveries. They talk casually while they wait, but then Nick lets slip that it was Esther that acted as his medic and that he thinks they should tell her what's going on. May doesn't think her sister can handle not being part of the perfect Federated States or doing anything wrong for the greater good. May asks why they didn't get help from Corp, but she's only been asked for help in extreme emergencies, so there's no chance of her blowing her cover. They watch the supply drop and decide the perfect time to move is 4 minutes after 4.
Hadley, reeling from taking medication to suppress his memories of Celeste, his former love, who was interrogated for being on the wrong side and taken to the gallows, is watching on as the captain has a meeting with representatives from each deck, asking about the leaflet drop. No one will say anything, making Hadley realize that someone has coached them. Someone is directly opposing him. It's the captain, obviously. He demands that people be arrested from all over the ship to teach all these representatives, to teach everyone a lesson.
Will somebody just push him overboard? I mean, you're on a boat, for goodness sake. Just one sharp shove. Esther and May are at home, and soon their mother and father arrive too. Esther is feeling weird about her tooth, obviously, and May quietly tells her she knows about the other night and that she'll fix everything. Huh? What? Their mother seems oblivious, or maybe she's just a staunch rule follower, but when their father comes in, he bolts the chain on the door and says the Corleys took one of his co-workers and that there was blood everywhere. He worries that they're being watched by bots and asks if his girls have done anything that would result in a search. Both of them have. But neither really knows what the other is up to. Secret.
Nick and May are about to be punished by the representatives for their leaflet drop. They are interrogated by Nick's mother and take responsibility for the drop, but rather than a slap on the wrist, Nick's mom says she's taking his place in watching over May and that they are no longer permitted to speak to each other. May only has 4 more days until she graduates. 4 more days to spend with Nick, and now they're gone. May yells at the representatives for getting Esther involved, but assures them she hasn't spoken about healing Nick to anyone. The captain makes another announcement, this time that he's going to work with Hadley to find whoever was responsible for the leaflet drop, and that everyone should remain vigilant.
Hadley and Grimson, his assistant, go down to the Neaths, searching for anyone who can give him any information on anyone smuggling antivenom. He finds an odd couple that smuggle drugs, but nothing so serious as antivenom. Hadley finds some memory suppression pills and pockets them, then questions the drug smugglers. They say that their boss, Silas, one of the 2 gang leaders of the Neaths, has instructed everyone to make it look like everything is business as usual. Oh, but Hadley, he knows it's not.
Esther goes to class for their exam that's going to count for most of their grade and realizes that she and Kara have swapped places. Esther is in spot 3 instead of 2. And then things get worse when Corp tells them that now only the top 2 students will be getting the opportunity to go to medical school on land instead of the entire class. Esther's got to beat out Kara, but she didn't study for the test at all. Alex gives her a contact lens that will help her with the answers, but she doesn't want to use it. But she does anyway. It's cheat or get left on the boat. Cheat.
Oh, straight away. Hadley has a meeting with all 6 admirals from the Federated States, hoping for the Arcadia to be cleared, which he can handle in less than a week. And then he can live on dry land while everyone else is sent to prison camps. Except they decide to skip over the Arcadia because there's not really been having any trouble except for the leaflet drop. Maybe a couple more years they'll clear the Arcadia. For now, they'll clear another ship, Jorgensen. Hadley nearly explodes with anger and decides he's just going to burn the ship down himself.
Esther feels horrible for cheating and can't think of anything else other than the fact that May has stopped speaking to her. It's time for May's graduation, and that's it. They probably won't see each other again unless Esther manages to get to med school. Before their family can go to the graduation ceremony, there's an announcement from Hadley that they all must listen to. He announces that the ceremony is canceled, so cadets must head to their exit point with no fanfare. Hadley also says that, because of the unrest of the leaflet drop, everyone must remain in their homes from sunset to sunrise, or be terminated.
Bloody hell.
Before May leaves, she presses something into Esther's hand in case she ever needs help. A charge ring that will apparently help her in a fight. Before May leaves, she sees Nick for maybe the last time. Nick knows she has to come back so they can complete their mission, but what if she doesn't?
Nick meets with Enid, the other of the two Neath gang leaders, and asks her for help keeping Esther safe now that Mia's gone. Enid knows that Silas wants Esther dead, since he kidnapped her because of that scuffle. She broke his nose, and he's offering a hefty reward for her, dead or alive. Meanwhile, Grimson suggests to Hadley that maybe the Arcadia could get its place back in line for clearance if they did what's been reported to have happened on the Jorgensen. Give the Corleys a vacation and let the people run wild. Hadley thinks this could work. Vacay! Woo woo!
Esther gets caught almost immediately. She was just sitting in the Arboretum with Alex, talking about being married, not really wanting to be, and missing her sister when he has to leave to pick up something for the dinner that they're having with his family to discuss their future. She stays behind and is cornered by 3 of Silas's scumbags. She uses her charge ring on one, but is tackled by the other 2 and pinned down with a knife in her face. She is not a good fighter at all.
No.
Nick arrives and helps Esther get away, but she runs from him, busting him in the balls when he catches up. Poor Nick.
Esther runs back home, but Nick catches up and follows her inside. He starts dumping stuff all over the place and making a mess, then asks where May would have kept something secret. Esther tells him, and he continues with the mess making until he finds May's hidden box that has a gun inside. Alex arrives just then and is very mad that Esther has stood up his mother. He's very angry and possessive and doesn't question why Esther is a mess, just why she's with another boy. I got so angry at this scene.
Same.
I was
Same. Oh my god.
Nick lies and says that his mom is sick and he needs Esther's help, and she goes along with it rather than tell him about the kidnapping attempt.
Alex goes to see Hadley.
Rage continues.
So much rage. So much rage.
So much rage.
He's got information that he's willing to give him if Hadley will provide him with pardons for himself and his girlfriend, no matter what. At least he asked for pardons, no matter what.
Yeah.
But, ugh. Alex says a girl, meaning Esther, has been in trouble at least twice in the past few weeks, and he thinks she's up to something. Hadley puts a tracking lens in Alex's eye to, well, keep an eye on everywhere he goes and everything he does.
It's a bit on the nose or on the eyeball, really.
It is on the eyeball. Directly into the eyeball.
Yeah. Alex, Esther and Cara, plus a few other students, are giving vaccines to keep the virus from the war 40 years ago in check. Esther asks Alex if they're still fighting, and he says no. But he's kind of weird with her and wants to know what she's been doing since he's found her with strangers more than once. She lies about Nick again, and then Cope comes in, tells the 3 top students that they've passed their exam, and it's time to start giving the vaccines. Corleys show up too and make things worse, and then it gets even worse when May sits down at Esther's table for her vaccine. She's supposed to be on land as a cadet. Did she go AWOL? She cuts into her arm and pulls out a worm.
What?
Blah.
What?
Blah.
What?
Blah.
What?
It gets worse. Then she forces Esther to let the worm crawl into her own arm.
Nope. Nope. What? Nope.
Do not like.
No.
Cope comes over to see what's going on, and Esther knows they're done for, but she just walks away. Mia tells Esther that the only person she should trust with her gone is Nick, and then she leaves. What?
What?
Mm.
Nick is looking for May, but his mother is demanding that he get to the engine room. He tries to figure out where she will go and knows that she'll be where there are a lot of people. The market. Esther, meanwhile, needs a break after May worms her arm, so she leaves the tent and tries to find her sister. Alex follows, and then Corp and the Coleys. Esther realizes that Corp is not and has never been on her side because she works for the Federated States, and Esther is clearly an accidental rebel now. And then there's a massive explosion.
Womp womp!
Nick sees the explosion but can't catch up to May. He desperately wants to find her, but he also needs the codes that she's probably passed on to her sister now, apparently in worm form. He finds one of Enid's guys injured and learns that this isn't the ship being cleared, and it also isn't a rebel attack. What is it then?
What's going on? It's so confusing.
Armworms!
Armworms! Nick meets up with Esther and Alex and tries to get them to flee with him. Esther wants to know what's going on and to get the worm out of her arm. Relatable. But there are Coleys everywhere and they don't seem to be helping anyone. Alex and Nick fight a little bit and then they see a lot of drones coming, so they have to run. Nick knows a way down to the Neath that requires jumping off the side of the boat with a zip line and into the flotilla surrounding the ship below. And when they notice the drones are machine gunning everyone still alive, they jump. They make it down below and are greeted by Enid, who says that May is still alive.
What?
What the hell?
Hadley is in the infirmary and has finally decided that it's one of the officers, maybe Corp, that gave away antivenom that stopped Nick from dying. So to punish her, he kills the stranger that she's trying to save after the bombing. He also takes credit for the bombing, killing tons of people in a terrifying explosion. So she knows he's a monster. Yeah, duh.
That no shit Sherlock. Enid gets Esther, Nick and Alex where they need to be in Silas's territory, and she puts Nick in charge of Alex, and she doesn't know anything about him and can't be sure he's not going to run off to the Coleys at any moment. Esther is taken away by herself to see Silas, but he walks away from her because he was supposed to be meeting with May. Esther threatens to scream for the Coleys if he doesn't get this worm out of her arm. I can imagine at this point the absolute just sheer panic of the I would just be constantly pointing at the worm arm.
Get it out. Get it out. Oh my god.
Esther wakes up with May and Alex and Nick and about 100 others in a barge that Enid uses as a safe space. Nick and May talk about her getting off the ship and then back on with the codes and the bombings, and then Enid comes and gives May another rebel assignment.
May's assignment is to retrieve something that she and Nick call the pastrami from a place outside of the ship. So it's obvious they're trying to keep whatever this is a secret, but the pastrami
just makes me want a sandwich.
Same. She was going to sneak away on the human waste barge.
Ooh.
But the Coleys are being more vigilant now, so she'll just have to take a motorboat instead. Esther and Nick, and eventually Alex, all decide to go with her. All the while this conversation is happening, Alex is rubbing his eye, and Esther notices, thinking something happened to him in the explosion, and not knowing that he's got a lens in that is directly connected to Hadley. He gives her a tracking device to wear under her comm glove so he can always find her. Then, while Esther, May, and Nick rest for the mission, Alex disappears.
Creep.
Fuck that guy.
Creep. Nick wakes Esther and May and tells them they need to leave because Alex left and has probably gone to Hadley. Because he's a creep. Why else would he left? Esther doesn't want to leave without Alex and doesn't believe he should tell on them. May doesn't want to leave without Esther. Just as they're all about to get on a little boat outside the flotilla, Esther sees Alex, but he pins her in place. Then the drones and the Corleys come. Alex tells Esther that he is going to keep them safe and that he did everything for them. But they have to let May and Nick go. Rage. Esther kicks him in the shins and runs towards her sister, but the drones and their bullets get to May first. Nick pulls Esther on board the little boat and they flee. They make it away from the Arcadia, closer to land, but then their boat is hit and explodes. Nick and Esther jump into the water and make it to land, but honestly, neither one of them wants to be there without May.
Fucking shit.
That's just... I mean, you know, we say womp womp, but what's the next level?
I don't know. I don't know what's worse than a womp womp.
That.
Fucking yikes.
Devastating.
Hadley has gotten the orders from the admirals to clear the Arcadia, and he's very pleased. Seems his explosion worked.
Asshole.
He has a meeting with the captain and tells him about the rebels. No, the criminals who escaped after the rebel attack, but that he can track one of them. When the captain leaves their meeting, Hadley assigns even more surveillance bots to follow him to find just what he knows about the rebellion. As much as Hadley wants to kill the captain, he declares that Alex will be the first person executed.
Lol. Alex fucked about and found out. Nick and Esther head toward a safe house that Nick has mapped on his comm glove, but soon enough they are found by Corleys again. Before they can get to them, Esther remembers that Alex gave her a tracker, and that's how they've been found again so soon. Nick takes the glove and ties it to an old milk jug floating beside them in a river of garbage. He tosses the jug, and then they hide long enough for the Corleys to track the glove and follow it. Nick yells at Esther for getting May killed, and then they trudge to the safe house. Not long after arriving, Corp and another person, Mitt, arrive. They were, of course, expecting May to be there. Nick explains that Alex betrayed them, which Corp struggles to believe, but she finally does, and then she comforts Esther.
I just want to give, a hand clap to Nick for telling Esther, yeah, this is all your fault.
Yes. Point at the person and go, blame.
Hadley and Grimson interrogate Alex, but don't really get much information out of him that they didn't already know. But Grimson has to tell Hadley that they lost track of Esther and Nick. He asks Alex what they're up to, and he says that they're bringing something back. Hadley tries to get Alex on his side by commiserating with him about having a girl you'd do anything for turn traitor on you. He makes Alex choose a random Neath prisoner to execute, then gives him a taser and tells him to find Esther and Nick. Grimson wonders what the big deal is with these kids, but questioning Hadley, not a good idea.
Don't think Hadley's in the right mind. Mitt and Nick are arguing about scrubbing Esther's mind of everything rebellion related, but they could completely damage her brain. It's either that or, kill her? Which Mitt seems to prefer.
Same?
Yeah, Mitt seems very sensible. Nick might hate her guts, but he still feels like he needs to keep her safe. Mitt tells Nick that he'll put it to a vote if he has to, and then stomps away. Corp tells Nick a story about Hadley before he went mad, and it involves Celeste, his love, who also happens to be Nick's mom.
What the fuck?
Oh yeah. Celeste and Nick's father had a plan to get Hadley, a Corley, on board with the rebellion on the ship Oceana to help them with sneaking supplies. But when the Federation found out, they sent Hadley to the Arcadia to punish him because they knew that he loved Celeste more than his country. Now, Hadley pretty much hates everyone and everything having to do with the Arcadia, which is kind of how Nick is feeling about Esther.
Esther is in a room, alone, sad, without her sister. Nick rages into the room, telling her to get out of bed and do something. Fight back. That's what May would have done. He asks where Alex would be, and she refuses to answer. Nick paces and is angry and cries, and it's all horrible. Finally, he pretty much tells Esther that she's pathetic and leaves the room. And again, applause for Nick. Esther then notices an envelope from May and opens it to reveal 4 forged passports and train tickets out of the Federated States. An entirely new life for their family. With new determination, Esther decides she wants to take on her sister's role in the rebellion.
All the rebels have a meeting to go over their plan. Nick has fuel rods from an old Japanese ship that he's going to install in the engine of the Arcadia. The captain is going to use codes he got from May to disable all the drones. The gangs are going to fight all the Coolies. They're going to drive the ship that has been unable to move for years and years, hundreds of miles, to international waters outside of Maine and disembark there. No one there will help fight, but they also won't actively try to murder anyone, which is nice. Esther thinks this is a terrible plan, but Mitt, he just wants to scrub her memories and be done with her. Nick doesn't want to scrub her because it will turn her brain to scrambled eggs, and he needs to know where he might be able to find Alex. Esther storms outside and sees helicopters and drones filling the sky. Yeah, it seems too late.
Too late. Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Bots scuttle across the ground toward the safe house while everyone escapes. Nick, Mitt, Corp, and finally Esther, after Nick yells at her, begin destroying any evidence that they've been at the safe house and set it on fire and then jump in a truck. Unfortunately, Mitt isn't fast enough.
No!
And the bots overtake him. But Esther goes to his rescue. Nick joins her and they pull off all the bots attacking Mitt and drag him to the truck bed, then speed off. Esther helps stop Mitt from bleeding to death by cutting up Nick's jacket with a pocket knife he gives her, and soon they arrive at a little cave holding a little boat. Esther is ready to go back to the Arcadia to finish the mission her sister started, but Mitt points a gun at her and tries to make her take the brain-scrambling pills. Nick tackles the gun out of his hand, and Esther throws the pills into the ocean. Together, with Corp helping them depart, Nick and Esther ride back to the ship.
Before their little boat makes it to the ship, they see drones and helicopters all over the place, and then the drones spot them and begin shooting. Esther fights off with Nick's fuel rod case, and then Enid and her gang start shooting from the flotilla. Esther and Nick make it back on board, and to relative safety. Enid tells Esther May would be proud, and she'd be even prouder to learn that Esther is about to head off to see the captain to get his part of the plan in motion, since they lost communication with their comm gloves. Enid gives her a sphere to lead her to the captain, and Esther leaves.
Nick and Enid make their way to the engine room, and, working together, they insert the fuel rods, and Nick begins warming the engine. Enid asks how long it will take, knowing that there are drones and helicopters all over the place that are about to open fire and kill everyone. Nick says it'll take an hour, and if they rush it, the engine could explode. But Enid knows they don't have that much time. She asks the next steps, and Nick tells her everything she'll need to know to get the ship going. Armed with this information, Enid calls for 2 goons to take Nick away. What?
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 No.
What?
No.
Oh my god.
Hadley is clearly enjoying himself, singing and directing drones all over the place to prepare to murder everybody on board the Arcadia and or send them off to prison camps. Oh, it's nice he's having a good time. No, it's a terrible thing.
No.
He sends some of the Corleys to tie up hanging ropes because they'll work just as well as bullets.
Yikes.
He's going to kill Alex and the captain, and he's super excited about it. Grimson comes to alert him about what happened on land, the fire to the safe house, and Nick and company getting away in a truck, and then mentions the ruckus at the flotilla. It seems Alex was telling the truth when he told Hadley that Nick would be bringing something back to the ship. Looks like he needs to stop dilly-dallying, killing everyone, and take things up a notch.
What more could he do?
Full-on song and dance routine.
It would be really great. Enid locks Nick out of the engine room, but not so she can double-cross him or anything dreadful like that, don't worry. Even though we were just worried for many chapters. She's doing it to keep him alive. They're worried about the engine exploding since it's been so long since it's worked, and she wants to keep him safe so he can keep Esther safe. Enid's goons won't let Nick come back because apparently being prepared to explode is what family does for each other. And even though they're not actually related, they are as good as in Enid's eyes.
We love a Van family.
One of the goons tells Nick that Alex apparently has a lifeboat of supplies on deck 10 if he was curious about his whereabouts.
Just going to drop that. Just drop that little piece of information. Esther follows the sphere through the ship and to the captain's office. He and another man are burning pretty much everything in there. Esther tells him that it's time for him to do his part, and they begin to work to shut down the drones and even the playing field. Esther asks the captain why he's gone along with Hadley the whole time, and he says it's to keep the people on board as safe as he can. Her job done, the captain sends Esther back to her family, but when she's outside she hears Corleys approaching. They go into the office and shoot the captain and his man and report to Hadley that the captain is dead. They laugh at Esther when she vomits at this news, but they turn and leave her alone. Esther goes back inside and the captain, barely alive, says she's got to finish turning off the drones, which requires her to point his now dead eyeball at a retina scanner. Esther decides that since the captain is dead and the engines are running, she's going to steal the ship. Before she leaves, she makes an announcement telling everyone to run.
Hadley gets a call from Grimson requesting drone backup to fight some rebels, and he sends them. But then they start disappearing from his digital mapping screen. He goes outside and realizes that the ship's engine has rumbled to life and that all his drones are dying.
Wah, wah.
Wah.
Esther sees the drones falling from the sky, but she's not watching them. She's watching Alex preparing to lower himself down in his lifeboat full of hoarded supplies. But then he sees her. He comes for her, telling her that he's done everything for her and that she's coming with him. She says no and that she hates him, but then he says it's her fault that May died because everything that he did was for her. Then he tries to tease her and force her to leave with him. Thankfully, the taser doesn't work and Esther fights back. Alex beats her up and strangles her, but luckily she still has Nick's little pocket knife and she uses it to stab Alex.
She gets a small round of applause for that one.
Oh, it's just because we want to do the same thing.
That's true. Nick gets to deck 10 and hears Alex scream after Esther stabs him. She tells him about the captain's death and that no one is steering, so they need to get to the bridge. But first, Nick wants to kill Alex. Same.
100% support.
Unfortunately, Esther talks him out of it, even though he's pathetic and terrible and definitely deserves worse than a stab. When they get near the bridge, they see a barricade, but it was set up by the rebels, so they let them through. Enid and Celeste, Nick's mom, are there and are slightly discouraged when they learn of the captain's death. But Nick's mom takes control, and now she is the leader of the rebels. They need to get to a stairwell leading to the bridge, but there's a line of coolies there with some sort of shield. Nick decides, instead of going to the stairs, he's going to scale the side of the ship using the zip line they used earlier when getting down to Enid. He grabs Esther, and they shoot upwards through a shower of bullets.
Ooh, cinematic. Esther and Nick get inside the bridge and barricade as best they can, but it's not going to hold for long. Nick has been shot in the leg and is losing blood quickly. Esther makes a tourniquet from his pants and he tells her how to set up a device with wires and putty and a trigger. She looks to see the ship. She only sees bots crashing through the window and a line of ships and helicopters barring their way out to open ocean. She points toward land instead and detonates the trigger, disabling all the controls as the bots crash in and the door slams open.
Hadley arrives at the bridge, furious at Esther for still being alive.
Fair.
And for being the person to completely ruin his career and surely extend his punishment that will see him on another ship instead of on dry land. She was hit by the explosion that destroyed the controls, but she's stirring now. Hadley drags Esther outside and fashions a knot in the zip line and ties it around her neck. He sentences her to death for crimes against the Federated States, just like he wished he could have done to Celeste. Just as he's about to hang her, the ship strikes land.
Shortly after the crash, Enid and Silas arrive on the bridge and shoot and finally kill Hadley.
Finally!
Yay!
Finally!
Esther could have easily been shot too, though Silas doesn't much care about that. He's still mad about Esther busting him in the face when he kidnapped her. Some of the rebels grab Nick, who was still alive, and carry him off. Celeste has secured them a helicopter to take them to safety, but unfortunately, as the helicopter arrives, so do the coolies. Luckily, they are able to take off without anyone else being shot, but as they fly off, Esther sees lots of bodies in the ocean. She caused the crash and ultimately caused their deaths. This is all her fault. She wants to go back and help. She wants to try to find her family, but Enid convinces her that there will be more people who need help later, and she can use the rebels' resources to find her parents. Yeah, pretty much all of this is her fault, but at the same time, she's freed everyone on board. Many people died, but many people were saved too. Finally, the Arcadia is falling.
Oh. End
of book 1.
Yes. Okay. Everyone, take a break, listen to this promo. Maybe, get a snack or something, because that was kind of a long summary. And then join us again in about 30 seconds for our discussion.
This is the Novel Universe with your hostesses, Dawn and Ashley. We rate and review the newest and most buzzworthy books. We are true book club ladies that don't always agree, but we do enjoy a good book discussion. You can find the Novel Universe on Apple, Spotify, and Google, where we post new episodes twice a month. I'm Dawn, the criticizer of books.
And I'm Ashley, the fantasy architect.
So grab your favorite beverage and join our universe.
I got some things to say about this book.
Okay.
I really, really liked it because everything was so terrible all the time. That's like my favorite thing ever to happen in books. Like, it's not a happy ending. It's terrible. Literally everything was bad. But the first bit kind of dragged. It dragged a little bit.
It really did. I struggled with the first bit to the point where I didn't really understand what was going on.
Yeah.
Because it was too much.
Yeah. It was it was confusing. It was confusing at first because, like, you're dropped right in the middle of everything and you don't find out. Yeah, so totally fine. Totally fine. But then, like, you find out everything just little drops throughout the entire book, which is also very cool and very well done. But, like, just the first part, I think it might just be because I don't really give a fuck about Esther. And so I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care about you. I don't
care. I was invested in Nick. I was invested in May. I was invested in Enid. I was not invested in Esther. I didn't care. And it just... Oh... And I fucking hate Alex.
Alex is the worst. He's one of the worst characters that we've read about in a long time.
Yes. Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
He's the kind of person who would go to be an alpha male.
Ugh. Ugh.
Ugh.
Ugh. Ugh.
He's an absolute patriarchal prick.
Ugh.
Grade A asshole.
Ugh.
Hated him. Caused so much rage. Glad he's dead.
That scene at the end where he's trying to sneak off in his lifeboat. Number one, fuck that guy for that.
Yeah.
But then two, when Esther shows up, he's like, oh, okay, you're going to come with me. And she's like, nah, I kind of hate you because, you know, my sister's murdered because you told on us. And so then he's like, no, you're coming with me. And then he tries to tase her and then he strangles her and then beats the shit out of her. Like, nah, dog.
Nah, dog.
No. Stab.
How bad would he have been if they had been forced to be married?
Ugh.
He would have been so abusive. You know, he's the kind of person who is all nice until he has you trapped.
Yeah.
And that's when things turn and change. Like within a second.
Yeah.
Changed. Asshole.
Yeah.
Prick,
Ugh.
abuser.
Ugh. God, he was terrible.
Oh, he was just gaslighting her at every opportunity.
Oh, yes, every single moment. Terrible.
Horrible. I hated him. And then when he got killed, I literally rejoiced.
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
I hated him.
Stab.
I'm done as well.
Something else that I really like, and we were giving him applause the entire time.
Yes.
Nick, like, straight up telling Esther, man, all this is your fault. You fucked shit up. It is your fault your sister is dead. It is your fault that all of this is going horribly wrong. All your fault. And it is.
It is?
There is no other person. If she hadn't gotten involved, everything would have been fine.
Yeah. And it's refreshing for that to actually happen, and that for somebody to actually point out the blame and say, this is all your fault, you fucked things up.
Yeah.
It's, you know, your sister's death is on you.
Yeah.
You killed so many people when you crashed the ship as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, your hands are covered in blood.
Yeah.
And it was so refreshing for somebody to point that out, rather than, yeah, okay, so you may have, like, caused a lot of problems, but, you know, you're part of the rebellion now, and you're going to do so much good, and we'll love it. No, dog.
No, fucked it up. You messed up. Fucked it up.
You got fucked up. And it's so refreshing for that to be pointed out.
Yes. Like, if she had just listened to them when they're like, we need to leave Alex behind. Alex does not need to be involved in this. We don't know him. We can't trust him. No, he's so good, even though he's really creeping me out lately. He's totally fine. Nope.
She reminded me of Jade from Lying in the Deep at times. Because I could not freaking stand Jade in Lying in the Deep.
Nope.
When we covered it.
Yep.
I hated her. She was
Yep.
worst character in the book.
Yep.
And Esther has that same, where I don't rate the quote-unquote lead female character at all. I hate her. I can't wait for her not to be in it. I hope she's not in it. If she was to be killed,
that would have been
fine.
that would have been an even better ending, except there is a book 2, which I didn't realize. I didn't realize until after I finished this book, you know, like going to check Goodreads or whatever and mark it as complete. And then I see Stranded, like book 1. Like, no!
Yes. Yeah.
No! This was a perfect ending. Oh, so good.
Yeah, I thought it was standalone as well. But you know what? I would actually like it if it was none of these characters. If it was from, like, a landlocked or land-based part of the rebellion. It's like a different group of people.
Yeah.
And then fair enough, at the end we see the two groups coming together. I'm fine with that. But I would really appreciate if it's just another group of people.
Ooh,
maybe it's because I don't want any more of Esther. But I just don't. Nick.
I like Nick too, but man, I do not like Esther. I do not like Esther at all.
No. I don't want to hear any more about it. I don't care about, like, I don't care that she is showing to be a good doctor, that she was scoring so well before she's cheated. I don't care about that.
Nope.
And her reactions to some of the medical emergencies that were needed didn't make me feel like actually she is going to be okay as a doctor either.
Yeah.
Like, I know she's got the stomach for it.
Yeah, but she did step in, like, even though Mitt wants to kill her and or scramble her brain.
I mean, I'm on Mitt's side.
Samesies. But she still jumped off the back of the truck and helped him, saved him from those bots, which I just got so creeped out thinking about those bots. Like, I feel like they're very small, and then they've got, like, little stabby needles all over them, and so, like, he's just covered with polka dots of blood. And then I think about that thing where you look at something and it's got all the holes in it. And then...
No.
Nope. Hate it.
Put that in the fucking bucket.
Yeah, but that's what I thought of.
Yeah.
And then I...
Oh, I hate those.
No.
No. I'm going to bed soon. Thanks for that.
Sorry. Yeah. So, is it weird? Is it weird for me to say yes? That I really liked how randomly insane Hadley is?
No, because, well, one, it's you, so we expect that. But two, actually, for all that Hadley is an absolute asshole of a character, he was a very well done character.
Oh, yeah.
I hated him, and you're supposed to hate him.
Yeah. Just like you're supposed to hate Alex, and we say this all the time.
He's a different kind of hate, though.
Yeah.
You know, he's a different kind of evil.
Yeah, and we say this a lot. Every time we hate, like, so viscerally hate someone, like, that's a sign of a pretty good writer when you hate someone's guts out.
Yeah.
Because that's hard to do.
Yeah. And with Alex, it was pure hate.
Yeah.
Pure.
Yeah.
Pure hate, pure rage. With Hadley, it was rage from being an asshole.
Yeah.
But actually, it's like,
like
funny at times.
Are you gonna pull it off? Are you gonna be able to do it? I really liked the scene where he's conducting the drones.
Yes.
And I can just, like, see him doing it, and, like, shit's exploding all over the place, and he's, like, got some weird classical music going through his head that no one else can hear. And he's just like, la 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 la.
Do you know who I have fan casted as Hadley?
Who?
William Dafoe.
Oh, I could see that. I could see Willem Dafoe being a crazy bonkers-ass lunatic.
Yeah, I just think that scene in particular, with the lighting just done right, it really captures his sharp angles.
Yeah.
I think he would be, because he can also do really good at smarmy as well.
Yes.
Like, he can wear a suit and be an asshole in a suit, but then he can be, you know, the right side of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
So I pictured William Dafoe as Hadley.
I feel like there is a scene in a movie or something where something very similar to this happens. Like someone conducting something, but it's bonkers shit that they're conducting, and it's not a good thing, but I can't place it.
Same. It's bugging the life out of me, and I wish I could remember what it was.
Yeah, I can't place it.
I might ask. I'll ask the other half.
Yeah,
he'll remember.
Yeah. So I liked Hadley.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, I don't know if I can say that Hadley was my favorite character, but I liked Hadley. And I also liked Enid.
Yes.
And she had a goon, which unnamed in the summary, but in the book, his name is John. And when I read this one, I didn't listen to this one, so I'm not sure how the audiobook was done, but it had multiple cast, so it was probably really really great.
To it.
It was probably really great, but I did not listen to this one. I read it. But whenever John talked, I heard I heard him as Billy Butcher from The Boys, but I always want to... Carl Urban. I always want to say Keith Urban, but that's the country music star from Australia. Yeah. Carl Urban is who I pictured in this role, which is weird because I normally can't do that unless I'm actively thinking about it. But just the way that he talked, the way his words were written, I was like, that is Butcher. That is Butcher from The Boys. And I really liked him. And that's very weird because he was very much a side character. He was unnamed in the summary.
So much of a side character, he didn't even deserve any. I like Nick because I like the fact that Nick goes and points to Esther and says, it's your fault.
Same.
I liked his relationship with May. I liked May as well. And It's a shame that May got viciously murdered. I would have preferred Esther. But then the story wouldn't have progressed the way it should have.
No.
I kind of like the captain as well.
I like the captain too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I kept imagining the captain from Titanic. Probably because
ghost version?
Yes, because I just finished reading Cursed Cruise before I read the standard. So I just kept seeing that ghost captain in my head, which also looks like, I don't know if you have the make in America, but there's it's a company called Bird's Eye, and they do fish fingers. I don't know if you know. Fish fingers. The fish products.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
I know Bird's Eye.
There's always the Bird's Eye captain, and he's always in the adverts. He's got that lovely, well manicured white beard.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his little captain hat and his little captain suit, and I just kept seeing it was the same. The ghost Titanic captain in Cursed Cruise was the Bird's Eye captain, and then it transferred over to this.
Fine. It's fine.
Which was just amused me, but I like the fact that he was obviously playing the long game of the rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
And he inevitably was going to have to die.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't that sad when he did die, because it was going to have to happen.
Right.
But I appreciated it. I appreciated that he was in a very difficult situation of having to deal with Hadley.
Mm-hmm.
Who is unpredictable.
Yeah.
He was predictably unpredictable, but predictably unpredictable.
Yes.
Work that one out.
Yeah.
But yeah, but also having to help the rebellion. He was in a very difficult and precarious situation, so I do quite appreciate that. Now, you have not listened to the audiobook, you just said.
No.
Which,
no.
Shock. It is.
I know, but I was
excessively British.
I know it is, and that's where the Tannoy comes into play.
Tannoy. And that, to be fair, that's probably my biggest surprise.
Was that it was British? Excessively British?
Yeah.
Do you know that I did listen to the first handful of chapters before I was gonna do the summary, and then I started doing something else and working on a different book. And then I came back to this one, and I had to read it. I had to read the ebook version because it took a surprise anniversary trip. So my weekend that I was going to, I was going to work on the summary, but instead I got to do something so much more fun. So,
not jealous at all. I'm seethingly jealous.
I know. Surprise trip to New Orleans, amazing. But I read the ebook on the car trip because it's like a 6-hour drive, right? So
yeah,
I read the ebook while we were driving and wrote the summary on the way. But I noticed the audiobook when I started listening to it, and like there were the little announcements from the captain talking about like the date and the time and the temperature. Celsius. In the ebook, Fahrenheit. Yep.
You
Yep.
know what? I didn't actually check to see.
I know. I want to check mine too. But mine's probably the US edition.
Was it at the beginning of chapters?
Yeah, very beginning. Yep, I have Fahrenheit. It's like the very first page of the book. Part 1, the Arcadia. And then
Celsius.
Good evening. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the hours to have on yours as well?
It has
mine says 1700.
It has 1700 hours as
Because
well.
I know we've had that discussion a few times about, because I use the 24-hour clock and you use the 12-hour.
Yeah. Something else that is in these little snippets that I didn't include in the summary was that there are 0 reported cases of the virus.
Yeah.
But there's never any. The virus does not exist.
The virus is bullshit.
Yeah. But there was a lot of information about that, and like, really and truly, it did not have a lot to do with the rebellion and everything happening.
No.
So we left that out of the summary.
I do like on the inside of the print copy. I don't know if it's the same as yours. It's got the blueprint of the ship.
No, but I do have like some nice like speckles and artworks on the pages.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's like that, like at the beginning of each chapter. It's got like weird speckledies and splotchies and stuff. So it's nice. And this is an arc. Like, why does this arc have any right to look so nice?
Arcs are getting much more fancier. Because my levels of being jealous at arcs when I'm seeing authors have them, I'm like, can we have them please to your podcast?
Yeah, I know. We do get a lot of good arcs though.
We do. I would like some fancy arcs.
Yeah.
Because you know I'm a slut for a sprayed edge.
Yeah. Were you surprised by anything?
Like I said, the Britishness of the audiobook.
Yeah.
Or at least the Britishness of the book for me.
Well, Sarah Daniels is British.
I know, but I'm so used to hearing American accents and everything being Americanized that when it is finally British, I'm like, whoa, you're speaking my language. What about you?
I think that I was genuinely surprised that Celeste is Nick's mom.
Yeah, that was a good one though.
Yeah.
That was one. Finally, when you get a surprise and go, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa. Yeah. And I was pleasantly surprised that the entire book was like my style of everything being fucking awful all the time. Like,
what is joy and happiness? We don't know.
I don't get that very often in books where everything is just shitty all the time, and I love it so much.
The thing is, though, I mean, I enjoyed it for that reason. Like, I don't. If I want a happily ever after, I'll read a romance. They're expected. I don't need a happy ending. I don't need full explanation. We know this.
Yeah.
But I worry that if I read the second one, which I don't know if or when it's out,
Yeah, I think it's out already.
Would it spoil it?
I know, like, is it gonna have a happy ending? I don't want it to.
Yeah, I don't. I worry that it will turn into a happy ending where Esther saves the day and Nick starts to like her.
Oh no! I always want Nick to hate her guts out.
Exactly. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how it would necessarily, suddenly May's alive. May can't be alive. But, yeah, I worry that if we... This is the problem with a series sometimes. When it ends on such disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want a happy ending. Because we are who we are.
Right. Dead inside.
Dead inside, exactly. My heart and soul are black.
Yes. But the outside's covered in glitter.
It's fabulous, darling. Would it be... Would it change things? I mean, what is it? The next one's called The Exiled.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
came first published July 20th, 2023?
Yeah, it's been out for a while.
How long have we had the Stranded?
I told you, we've had it for years. Decades.
First published in 2022.
My copy, the US one, didn't come out until the beginning of 2023. So I think your UK's came out before the US editions did. Which is probably another reason why we didn't cover it immediately.
Yeah.
Because it came out at different times for us.
Ooh, Esther and Nick find themselves in a world of betrayals and double crossings.
I'm fine with that.
And it starts off with trust no one. And it's set 6 months after the Arcadias set sail for the final time. But it's first voyage in 40 years.
So,
Esther has left a trail of destruction in her wake.
Yes, she has.
Accurate.
Yes, she has.
Right.
Oh my God.
I'm going to stop reading this and now everybody. We may have to dive into the second one.
Yeah. Dive in. Plunge right in.
Submerge
ourselves in the chilly depths of book 2. But it's a duology, so we like a duology.
We do like a duology. We like a standalone.
We do like a standalone.
We like everything.
We do. I really do wish that this one was a standalone, though, because it ended so perfectly when they're flying off in the chopper. And she's like looking down and she maybe sees a floating corpse that might be her dad. And you're like, oh, pain. But Enid is like, nah, you're going to be able to help more people. And we're going to look for your parents. But now is not the time. We need to get away. We need to get to the chopper.
Need a mutual handshake. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good thing, though, because if you are satisfied with the ending, you don't want to read any more of the series, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if you want a bit more, it's there.
Yeah.
So I think you've got the best of both worlds in terms of options.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Should we move on? Is it time for Would You Rather?
We asked on social media, would you rather be told where you can read or how much you can eat? On Facebook, 100% said they would rather be told where they can read. Did they? That sounds wrong. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But not eat. I'm trying to remember the comments. On Instagram, it was 67% for how much you can eat. TikTok's been a dick doc, and that's all I've got to say about that.
Yep. We
do have some comments. This is a pretty difficult one, I think, for people to justify. So we don't have that many, but we did have quite a few votes. Yes. Katrina on Facebook said, yeah, absolutely not being told how much I can eat. This would be harder if they were telling me when and where I could read, because it's a no too. I could cope with being told where to read, though.
Colin on Facebook said, I've said where I can read, but I ain't nobody's bitch. Apart from Claire's. And then only if he's been good. So he'll end up reading anywhere and accept the punishment that comes with it. I don't want to read the rest of this. You read the rest of it.
I'm a fat lad, so I need my food, so there's no way you're telling me how much I can eat.
Colin. No.
Candice on Facebook said, at least I can still read just wherever they say. I don't need someone telling me what I can't eat.
Claire on Facebook said, I think I would be okay being told where I can read, and I would just stay there.
Yeah.
Good plan.
TJ Pruitt's author on Instagram said, how much I can eat. I want to read where I want to read, and there's no limiting that. You see, I actually found this one really difficult.
Same. I found it so much more difficult than I think anyone else did, because we know the story though.
Yeah.
And we know that reading is illegal.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to tell me I can just read in my house, then fine.
Yeah.
Or cabin. That's fair enough.
And that is okay. You can read, but you just can't read in public.
Yeah. And then what you can eat in the story, it's reduced calories.
Yeah,
so,
it's rations.
Yeah, it's below the nutritional line.
Yeah.
So we know the nuances, but we didn't ask or give the nuances.
No.
So it's fair.
Yeah.
And taking those nuances out, there's part of us that wants to say, tell me what I can eat, because I desperately need and want to lose weight. And I've asked for support to do that. So I'm going to talk to a nutritionist about it. So, I feel like I've effectively elected for that option already in real life.
Yeah.
Whereas, I like to read at home. I like to read on my lunch break at work, inside the office, or sitting outside if it's a nice day. I like going to a coffee shop and sitting there and enjoying a coffee and reading by myself. I carry a book with me everywhere. Or my earphones with me everywhere and read that way. So I don't want nobody to tell me what to do when it comes to my reading. I don't want you to tell me what I can read and where I can read. If you have an issue with it, then you can fuck off, because you are not gatekeeping that.
Nah.
But if you want to help me, and because I'm the Lord and Master of all I survey when it comes to the role for Would You Rather, you can tell me what I can and how much I can eat in order to be healthier. And that's the option that I'm picking.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to go with that option, because if you ration my food in a perfect world where, I mean, rationing is not a perfect thing, but then that means everybody gets to eat.
Yeah.
And I would like everyone to get to eat, even if it's a little bit less.
But it would also be based on circumstances. So what you are rationed and how much you are rationed will be dependent on specific medical needs. Some people can survive on less, but some people will need more.
Some people have to eat or they die.
Exactly. And some people can afford to skip a meal. So it's one of these, it's because we control the Would You Rather.
Yes.
That's how we're doing it.
Yeah.
Moo-ha, moo-ha-ha-ha-ha.
Okay. Next question. Would you rather know that there's no real way off the ship, or think you might have a way to escape?
You've got to have hope in your life. So I'm going to go with think you have a way to escape.
No, I would rather know. I would rather know that there's no real way.
But do you know that for certain? I mean, there is one way. You just go overboard. Steal Alex's ration-filled boat.
Yeah. Why didn't anyone else steal that lifeboat?
He must have done a very good job of hiding it. Dickhead.
I guess. Yeah. But yeah. I think I'd rather know. There's nothing to do. Because then you could, like, you know, fight. You could do something with your life.
But isn't that... Well, I mean, when you say do something with your life, depends what you're doing. I know there's no real way of getting off the ship, so I'm going to turn into a serial killer.
I mean, yeah. Why not?
You're all trapped with me. I'm not trapped with you.
Yeah, why not?
Live your life
and then
ambition.
Then you start conducting your drones.
Yep.
Yep.
Dead.
All dead. Everybody.
All dead all the time.
Yep.
Woo-ha,
Yep.
woo-ha.
Yep. Yep.
Well, would you rather be a rebel or be a Corley or be a Neath?
I mean, I think I'm gonna have to be a rebel, even though I'm resigned to not getting off the ship. But again, like, if I know these things, then I can fight. Then I can murder everyone musically. I don't know. I don't want to be a Coley.
No.
Because fuck those guys.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to be a Neath either. And I feel like I know that there was an entire scene with, dental health, but I feel like everybody's got some bad fucking teeth down there. And I don't want to be a part of that.
They used to do that. They used to take the teeth off dead soldiers.
Yeah.
Put them in. Or if you could afford it, they would pull teeth from children.
Yeah, and all of that is juicily described in the book. Like, Esther looks around and, like, all of the kids don't have teeth.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that it's based on real life is really creepy.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm going to be a rebel because, that's what Billy Idol says.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
What more? Just gearing up for this one.
I know, I am. Would you rather have a worm in your arm or be shot?
I don't want either.
You gotta pick one.
Pick one. Get the worm on my arm and then shoot it.
Shoot the worm, yes.
And then I'll have both.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather be shot because the idea of the worm and something wriggling under my skin and knowing that it's there.
Same.
It's the things in the wall, Amanda. Except the wall is my
and
skin.
And your wall is your skin. Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely... Ugh. Because, like, what if the worm goes somewhere else?
Oh, no.
Right? And, like, when May showed up with it, she, like, had her arm, like, wrapped up in a tourniquet, so she had it trapped in her forearm. But, like, nah, it can just scooch around wherever it wants to go.
It might, like, come out of your eyeball for a little bit and go, hello, and then go back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you get a tickle in the back of your throat, you're like, oh, I feel like I've swallowed a hair. No,
and then you pull
it's
the worm
worm.
Nah, I'm going to be shot.
Nah,
I'm 100% going to be shot.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ugh. Ugh, worm.
Oh.
But
right,
I loved it. I loved it. Gross. I love it. Gross.
Would you rather be horrible and know it like Hadley, or accidentally horrible like Esther?
Oh, I'm horrible and I know it.
Oh, definitely. 100% happy. If you're going to do it properly. I don't want to be an Esther. She was a pain in the ass.
No, she was so bad. Ugh.
No, I want to be directing the drones.
Yes.
I want to have that sly smile. I want to have secrets upon secrets and trickery and subterfuge.
Yeah.
And power.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Hated him, loved him.
Yes. 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 Yeah. It's my kind of character.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite final thought quote? Oh, can I start with this one? You're a monster. Yes, I am. Hadley. Yes. Yeah, I am. 100%.
100% truth.
100% monster. Okay, now you go. I just had...
No, it's fair enough.
No. I just got excited about that one because we were just talking about it.
There's a lot of quotable quotes in this. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow, I stopped caring about this conversation a good few minutes ago.
Yes. So good.
Got a message from you from Enid. She says, respectfully, get lost. Which in my mind is also followed by a she's dead because you were stupid.
Yep.
And this I'm going to go for this one because I enjoyed it as well. Not going to lie, it's a ballsy look.
Oh, I loved it.
Okay, I'm going to stop there before the plagiarism kicks in. Not the plagiarism. Okay. You know what I mean. Copyright laws.
Yeah.
What have you got?
Oh, this one was so funny. Wow. You must be the first teenage couple in history to be so lacking in drama. Oh, very good.
Bird.
You used your privilege to make your own life better. She used hers to change other people's lives.
Oh.
Yeah. Fucking Esther. Bitch. I hate him too, but you're a good person. And good people don't commit cold-blooded murder.
I don't know. Sometimes, you know.
Sometimes you gotta slap a bitch.
Sometimes you gotta stab a bitch.
And finally, it is idiotic. And you're all going to die. So good. Fantastic. Okay. If you liked this, try this. What in the world can even compare?
I'm going to recommend the book that this kind of sort of maybe slightly reminded me of. And it's a book we covered way back when the pandemic was high upon us.
Oh.
And it's The Wilder Girl. It's Wilder Girls by Rory Power.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Mm-hmm.
I got instant vibes just thinking about, you know, the restrictions, the virus that, you know. So go back and listen to the episode. It was a really good episode. And it was the first time we spoke to Jessie Valinsky. Yep. And it was an amazing interview. It was great.
She's so much fun. She's
amazing. She really is. So yeah, go back and listen to that. And you can tell how we're really sorry because everybody's in quarantine and we already planned this book. But, you know, and we're sorry for potentially manifesting a global pandemic, but it is what it is. But anyway, so the summaries from Goodreads. It's been 18 months since the Raxter School for Girls was put under quarantine, since the tox hit and pulled Hetty's life out from under her. It started slow. First the teachers died one by one. Then it began to infect the students, turning their bodies strange and foreign. Now, cut off from the rest of the world and left to fend for themselves on their island home, the girls don't dare wander outside the school's fences, where the tox has made the woods wild and dangerous. They wait for the cure they were promised as the tox seeps into everything. But when Wyatt goes missing, Hetty will do anything to find her, even if it means breaking quarantine and braving the horrors that lie beyond the fence. And when she does, Hetty learns that there's more to their story, their life at Raxter, than she could ever have thought true. So there's not helicopters and explosions and, you know, a crazy person who's controlling drones.
Yeah.
But it's got the intrigue, and it's got characters you love to hate.
Yes. Yeah.
And it has, but the virus is real.
Yeah. Okay.
What have you got?
The one that I found is, you know how earlier we were talking about keeping an eye on Alex, and it was right on the eyeball.
Yes.
Right on the nose, right on the eyeball.
Yeah.
I chose to talk about The Sickness by Brittany King. March 2020. We all know about that time. Stranded on a remote cruise ship as the pandemic ravages the world, 753 desperate passengers find themselves in a perilous situation, with no hope of docking in sight and dwindling supplies. Each must fight their inner demons to survive. Among them is an eclectic group of people, a father desperately searching for a way to save his daughter's future, an artist running from a broken past, and a hacker looking to make one last score. But what they didn't count on is the mysterious cult convention taking place on board. We should have read this one last month. Sure. With enough resources at stake to change or end lives, suspicion and fear quickly build. When bodies begin to drop, they question, is it the virus? Or is it one of them? Ooh.
Well, that sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. And it had a cult. Damn it. Cult book. Missed it.
All the cult books we looked at were really, really depressing.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, we don't need...
Yeah.
There's degrees of being miserable. We like terrible, horrible books.
Yeah.
Not miserable, terrible books.
There is that one that I read just of my own accord that was produced by Elise Green, and everyone knows how much I love her. Who's it at the end of the world? Somebody. What's her name? God damn it.
Our brains just aren't working today, are they?
No, they are not. But anyway, that book had a very good portrayal of diabetes.
Yes.
And also cult. And also monsters. So that was a good one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
We're not talking about cults.
We're not talking about cults.
We're talking about, viruses and ships and stuff. Do we have anything that could be #tenuous link in our new Unity Spotlight?
Not really. Not really. The only half of a hashtag, maybe just like one line of a #tenuous link. But we also just got this one, and it does mention a boat being, yeah. So it's called Adventures of Mary Jane, and it's by Hope Jahren, and it just came out in June.
Okay.
And it's one of the tiny little one-off characters in Huck Finn, Mary Jane Guild. She's on a dangerous and unpredictable adventure down the Mississippi River, and she'll steal Huck Finn's heart along the way. In these chapters, you'll come to know the real Mary, a girl on her own dangerous and unpredictable journey down the Mississippi River in pre-Civil War America. Equipped with an uncanny ability for mathematics, a talent for sewing, and a bale of beaver skins, Mary Jane navigates deadly illnesses, another #tenuous link, angry mobs, treacherous landowners, outright thieves and swindlers, and more than 1,000 miles of muddy water. What's more, she thrives in the face of these challenges thanks to support from a caring boat captain. Ooh, another one. Another hashtag tenuous link. Generous neighbors, a cheery peddler, a chosen family, a loyal and loving dog, and 2 hardworking horses. Traveling solo requires Mary Jane to grow up fast, but it ultimately leads her to a new resilience, a love of adventure, deep and enduring sisterhood, and a blue-eyed, ponytailed boy she can't stop thinking about. So there were some hashtag tenuous links. I mean, super tenuous.
Well done. I'm very
But
pleased.
it worked. Yeah. And it just came out, so everyone go grab that one up.
Cool.
Okay. So that's it for this episode of Fictional Hangover. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Claire.
Join us next time for a live episode. Hooray! Yes. Now, this one is not, our 300th episode. It's just a regular old normal everyday live episode. We're going to talk about the short story Milk Door from the collection. Let me just back up and grab it for everyone watching. Oh, look how pretty this book is. Bad Dreams in the Night by Adam Ellis. Oh. Horror.
Smell it again for me, baby.
I know. Horror short stories. And it's a graphic novel. Oh. So we're going to talk about the short story Milk Door, and it's going to be really great. We are going to be live on Sunday, July 28th at 1 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. GMT. Ooh, it's going to be a good one. Look out for our Would You Rather polls and monthly challenges on social media. Don't forget about our book club on Discord. Be sure to visit our shop on Redbubble at fictionalhangover.redbubble.com for all your favorite Fictional Hangover-themed merchandise, and become a patron of ours on Patreon at patreon.com/fictionalhangover. Until next time, remember, the only cure for a fictional hangover is another book.
You can find us at fictionalhangover.com. Follow us on Instagram, Threads, TikTok and YouTube at Fictional Hangover. And find us on Facebook at facebook.com/fictionalhangover. If you like this episode, check out our others and be sure to rate, review and subscribe so you don't miss out. And finally, special thanks to Liz Emerson for our music. You can find her on Facebook and Patreon. Thanks for listening.